Yeah. Yeah. Shooting's out there, we like to party. Listen up, yeah, it's time to start it. And I know you got it. If you're with me, let's rock this party. All the girls on the side say, and all my fellas on the side say, tonight we're gonna fly high to the skies, 'cause we're gonna have a taste of the good life. Here we go, here we go, here we go up. We're gonna rock this club till it goes up. Yeah, we're gonna live a good life. Yeah, we're gonna do it all night. Tonight, we're gonna live the good life. Alright, let's go and live the good life, the good life. Tonight,
Wow, I'm all up in my grill this time, ain't we? We live the good life. We're gonna live the good life. What's happening, everybody? It's your boy Onyx here. Once again, it's Sunday. Let me get this camera right for those of you who want to see this beautiful face. It is what it is. What's happening? Sunday, 6 p.m. Let's get this music out the way. It means more than ever for me to start off talking about gotta live the good life. Hey, your boy, let's talk a little bit before we get started on today's opinion, opinion piece or review, whichever you choose to call it. I started off with The Good Life. I mean, it's a song that I use every so often, and I fade it in, it's upbeat, it's energetic, it's part of, I got it from Epidemic Sound. That's not a plug, but I do pay for Epidemic Sound to have music, that I can use copyright free on my channels. And Good Life, I'm going to say Good Life. Here's the thing about Good Life. And this is my point. And the reason why I'm saying it is because I have not been feeling 100% over the past few days. I've been having aches and pains, and I'm getting up there in age. The platinum locks really get to you. But it's like, well, you know what? Ouch. Ouch, ouch, ouch. So, it's always good to start off positive. It's always good to start off with that energy, something that can make me feel good, hopefully make you guys feel good, and hopefully flow into the show to get people doing. Now, you're talking about what mic am I using? I do, it does kind of, what's the best way? I kind of fake a lot of people out. This is my headset before we get into the shameless plug. This is my headset. This is a Corsair Virtuoso RGB wireless headset. Now, I cheat. I mean, this mic actually works. This is a Samson CO1U condenser mic, and it does work. It does work. It's not just for show, even though it feels like it's for show. I am actually using, let me tap it. I'm actually using the mic on the headset. I'm cheating a little bit, only because I do go ahead and I use this mic sometimes. And the reason why I use this mic sometimes, I have to have my house completely quiet. This has the noise gates, and I can kind of control my background noise a little bit. This one does not. So I have to ensure that everybody in my house is being quiet because the walls are thin from my little office to the rest of the house. And that kind of keeps people from bleeding into the recording. Because YouTube gets real picky if they hear kids, if they hear something else, and oh, copyright, oh, you can't monetize, oh, you can't do that. It doesn't matter for the podcast. The podcast, I can have all sorts of stuff happening in the background, hey, and that's part of the flavor and the appeal. But before we even get started with everything, let's get into the shameless plug. Shameless plug in 5, 4, 3, 2, and What's up, everybody? It's shameless plug time. So thanks for checking out the podcast, Going Full Nerd. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe everywhere possible. So look for Going Full Nerd on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, goingfullnerd.com, and my Twitter handle, ONYXXX1969. You can also listen to the audio version on its home, Anchor.fm, but also on Pandora, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you consume your podcast listening pleasure. Hey guys, let's get on with the show. Okay, we're getting on with the show now, okay? Hopefully I don't have any more, bing bang bong moments and all that good stuff. Hey, so I'm going to admit, you saw today's title. Today's title was, I'm talking about the first 3 episodes of Star Wars: The Bad Batch. And I'm going to admit, I really have not watched the Clone Wars animated series. And knowing that it has received a whole bunch of accolades from fans and critics and all sorts of people, I really wasn't a fan of the animation style. I mean, in all honesty, I think there are so many animation styles that would have done justice. I, it's like a mix between computer and blocky. It's cool. I just never really I never really got into the animation style. But from what I understand, the story was beyond reproach. And here's the deal. I really am going to go back and start watching the Clone Wars because in watching The Bad Batch, I learned I missed something. I really, really did. I missed something. So the Bad Batch. Okay. So the Bad Batch. Um, I'm not going to really try to get into what they are, who they are. I mean, they're clones. I mean, the premise, Star Wars. They cloned, from the prequels. I know everybody has their moments feeling some kind of way about the prequels. It is what it is. But the thing is we had the original clone troopers who were basically clones of Jango Fett. Okay, the father of Boba Fett, who we know is a clone and most recently reintroduced in the Mandalorian series. But it is what it is. But this series actually starts off with the execution of Order 66. And for Star Wars fans out there, Order 66 was when the clones and basically everybody turned on the Jedi. And we saw little pieces of it. We saw pieces of it in the prequels. We got the word on it. Star Wars got really convoluted. It really did because, there's a whole batch of Star Wars literature that just doesn't matter anymore because of purchases. Blame Disney, blame Lucasfilm, blame George Lucas, all that good stuff. Big deal. Doesn't matter. But here's the deal. Order 66, also known as Clone Protocol 66. It was a top secret order identifying the Jedi as traitors to the Galactic Republic and therefore subject to summary execution by the Grand Army of the Republic. Okay, so this order was actually programmed into the clone troopers through behavioral modification. All right, chips in the brain. Okay, so they couldn't disobey the command. But here's the key. The Bad Batch was a not so much perfect set of clones. They had imperfections. But these imperfections led to each of them having very powerful and desirable skill sets, unlike many of the other clones. So, basically they were rejects. They were like, hey, we got this. Oops. We this is a bad batch of clones, but they do very, very well. They were not complete order followers. They were not ones who just did everything, straightforward. They seem to be more human than many of the other clones, if that makes any sense. But that gets into a whole lot of ethical implications that have been running through sci-fi for a long time about, is a clone a human? I mean, we've seen it in many Marvel comics, Spider-Man. We've seen it in a few Batman episodes on the Batman animated series. And, this seems to be a recurring sci-fi comic book thing about clones. Are they human? Are they not? Even in real life, what was that back years and years ago? Dolly the sheep, hey, but anyway. So the scientists, the Kaminoan, I got, you know what? These sometimes I can't get these things out of my mouth. Okay, the scientists who designed the clone troopers believed it was only going to be used as a contingency against renegade Jedi. They did not know that it was the means by which the Sith intended to bring about the fall of the Jedi Order. So here's the deal. The Bad Batch did not have this programming. I'm not going to say they didn't have it. Let me change my term. The Bad Batch their programming was corrupted. This is partially explained because, like I said, most members had mutations, and the one member, Echo, he had suffered injuries that caused their inhibitor chips to fail. Therefore, that meant Clone Force 99, aka the Bad Batch, disobeyed Order 66. They were like dumbfounded when all this went down. And this did not go over very well with the Empire or the newly formed Empire. I really, I don't know how I feel about Tarkin. We all know, I'm old school. That's Grand Moff Tarkin. I'm going to call him what he is. I mean, this is the beginnings. But, seeing Peter, what is it, Peter Cushing? Not Peter Cushing. Wait, I forgot. Who played Grand Moff Tarkin? I should have wrote that down, but it is what it is. But here's the deal. Seeing a cartoon version of him, it's like, wow, that's just something else. But anyway, so with the proclamation of the New Order, rise of the Galactic Empire, all that good stuff, Clone Force 99, with the exception of the one member Crosshair. Okay, Crosshair's chip seemed to be working. So this is kind of the stuff we're finding out and feeling inside of the first few episodes. And here's the deal. His chip functioned properly, but not completely. He didn't blindly follow Order 66, but what he ended up doing, he couldn't understand why his teammates wasn't following it, and he didn't just like go up against them and be like, yo, you should have did this, like a lot of the other clones were reacting towards them. But it's like, okay. So he went back, they did some extra reprogramming, they reinforced his chip. But the thing about this series, it's well written. I mean, I wasn't expecting something like this, in a cartoon, especially a Star Wars cartoon, because sometimes Star Wars is all over the place. Sometimes I'm all over the place, but it is what it is. But sometimes Star Wars has a continuity problem. But this right here is fleshing out a lot of stuff, and I'm really liking it. More so than when they did the original, I'm not going to call it the original trilogy, the prequels, in theaters and stuff. I think this is what they really needed, and it gives a lot more flexibility. Plus, I like the fact that we are following something within Star Wars that's not the Skywalkers. And that shows that there's more depth and breadth to the Star Wars universe. The writing and the delivery of this is just, oh man, it was great. And after years of glancing over the Clone Wars animated series, This is a deep fleshing out of Star Wars lore, and it's very, very, very refreshing. I mean, the first 3 episodes basically is episodes of discovery for, the Bad Batch. I mean, they have a young female clone of Django known as Omega, who basically is latched on and is replacing Crosshair with the Bad Batch. Now, you could tell the Bad Batch, they're missing Crosshairs because they were more in tune to each other. It was more a family type dynamic. But now with the introduction of this young female clone who's latched on to them, it's showing their growth. And, some people may not like that, because the action is in it, it's rough. Okay, it's rough. I mean, there's actually murder going on in these episodes, especially in episode 3. But as it brings it back to the dynamic of these clones or the Bad Batch themselves learning to be more human than the humans they're coming across. And then you get the fleshing out. You get how they went from clone troopers to the stormtroopers, you know, little details with the designations that you can see, ES versus TK, I believe, things like that. Even looking at the differences in the laser fire in episode 3 of the Bad Batch, where the clones had blue lasers while the conscript or the human troopers are using red lasers, which are more Sith aligned. So this stuff is so deep and they're digging into it. This is excellent. This is something, and then I'm sounding like a Disney fanboy right now, but I will be honest, I had no interest in this until after I watched it, got hooked, and I'm going to go ahead and finish watching it. I'm going to watch the series out, see how it goes. But here's the deal. We get in the story of renegade clones, their adopted kid, and being chased by the newly formed empire and their former member. This seems like a lot of stories we've heard in the past. Okay, almost A-Team-esque. Hey, on the run from the military, going around, soldiers of fortune, helping those where they can. I mean, this is the A-Team, if you break it down to that. But here's the problem, and this is the deal. I hope this show keeps its energy, okay? Because this current energy is great. But with the addition of the young female clone known as Omega, it can lose that energy quick if they try to kind of hold on to that, oh, we've got to teach a lesson. I mean, you could teach a lesson without being blunt about it. The couple of lessons here that they've been teaching so far have been very subtle, but you can see where if the writing gets lazy, it will throw it over the top. Okay? It will throw it over the top and it can lose viewers real quick. So hopefully it keeps this energy before it goes stale. Now, looking at the comments, Eddie, I see your comments. Hey, yes, Star Wars needed this to clean up the Star Wars trilogy. There's a lot more they need to do to clean up Star Wars as a whole. Okay, basically, I really feel they need to get away from the Skywalker saga. I mean, they've said they've ended it with this last trilogy, but I would love to learn more about the rise of the Empire. I would love to learn more about stuff that happened away from the centric Skywalker, because here goes the deal. The Skywalkers did not make or break the rebellion. There had to be other things going on, you know? I mean, the characters, there were tons of characters introduced in those prequels and all the different alien races. So you could tell me these were the only rebels? These were the only people going after and fighting the Empire? I think not. Okay. So we saw a little bit of it in Rogue One. We saw some of it in the Clone Wars. We're seeing it inside The Mandalorian. And hopefully we can see it in that new Star Wars Ashoka series that they announced. So maybe, maybe not, but I really hope they could keep this energy up, because hey, like I said in previous podcasts and videos, Star Trek, they slipping, but they putting some hot fire out. I think I need to watch some Star Trek stuff too now. I mean, they've come a long way from the red shirts to now on Star Trek, but we're going to still have that. This is sci-fi at its best. This is storytelling that we all grew up with and we wanted, and we thought about this stuff. We fleshed things out as kids and try to move it forward, but let's find out more. Now, I don't know. I think I'm kind of Jedi and Sith out unless I hear more about the Jedi that escaped Order 66, because you can't tell me Ashoka hid out for all those years while Obi-Wan got jacked up messing around with the Skywalkers. So there's got to be more Jedi out there that escape. Sith history is a little more complicated because, that ruler two, the Emperor Palpatine, I mean, that was a little funky. That was a little funky. I really think they messed that up. A lot of people been trying to get the explanations, on how back in the final trilogy, we was all trying to figure out how Palpatine got the cheeks. So Rey is his granddaughter, but that's all, hey, cloning technology is something else, it didn't necessarily have to be him. I saw some cool stuff on the internet pretty much saying that he made a clone of himself that had no force connection, and that's who it was, but that's a whole different story. I watch and listen to a lot of stuff anyway. But anyway, hey, Star Wars The Bad Batch, I give it a big thumbs up. I'm not giving it a numerical rating because the series is not completely over. Please check it out. It's on Disney Plus, showing up on Wednesdays? Was it Fridays? I don't, it all becomes a blur. Hey, we're going to have another live show next week. I don't know what I am going to be talking about over the next week. Hopefully I feel a lot better and can record and do some stuff, some more YouTube hints on Wednesday and things like that. But anyway, thanks for showing up. Please remember to hit this video with a big thumbs up, hit it with a like, share it with your friends. Can't wait to see you guys again. Peace, y'all. And I'm out of here. Let's drop some music track. Hey, because I'm still fly. We're going to get it going. Boom.
Everybody smoking all the greenery. Close the matches, they were handed down to me. But I'm still fly, I know.
And hold on, let me hit that drop.
I'm still fly, let's go.
Sometimes you got to hit the drop. Yeah, it is what it is. I mean, we got a lot of cool stuff getting ready to hit. I didn't go out and see Army of the Dead this week, even though theaters are opening up. I didn't use alternate means, but I will be checking out Army of the Dead, Zack Snyder's new zombie flick with Dave Bautista. Definitely try to get a review on that. Spiral, I don't know. I don't do horror, so I may have to ask somebody to be a guest star to talk about Spiral so I can ask the questions. We had some cool trailers drop, but it is what it is. Peace, y'all, and I am out of here.
To all the haters, cause you proved to me that rising to the top was my destiny. And you can see whatever from behind me.